So if you've been following this channel long enough, you know that I like to do CBO for my testing and scaling. Not that I create a separate campaign for scaling with a CBO and a separate campaign for testing with CBO. No, just literally one campaign. And if you watch my advanced Facebook ads guide 2025 series, I literally go over all that right there. How I test new ads and just scale up that CBO based off performance and stuff. And if you've been on the channel long enough, you know that one of the problems with this is that testing new ads in that particular CBO right there, sometimes these ads just simply don't get spin. And I would say probably on average about 90% of ads don't get spin. And that's okay, because we know that not every ad we create is going to become a winner. That's why we frequently test new things over and over to find those new winning ads inside of the account. And I often get people saying, hey, my ads aren't getting any spin. And sometimes there's a case where like literally it's getting $0 in spin. And some cases it's getting like $5, $10 a day in ad spend per day. So I just want to simply go over my thoughts around this, kind of what I do around this, and kind of how I view this particular problem right there. So that way you can adjust and, change how you're looking at it as well to help you out with finding more ads that do spin and scale up the account moving forward. So very first thing, if you're in the bucket of people that's like, hey, my ad is literally getting $0 in spin, like I'm talking about $0, then just simply add a $5 a day minimum spin to that particular ad set. You just click on edit and it's like at the top, budget and scheduling, minimum spin, $5 a day, call it a day. Very easy to do right there. And you can do it on all tests if you want. You can do it on tests that just simply won't spin. Completely up to you. I'll typically do $5 on new tests, and that way it just makes it easy for me. And all that I'll do is just kind of nudge that particular ad set forward a little bit and then let Facebook do the rest right there. Now, if you're in the bucket of people that's adding this $5, $10 a day of spin to it for minimum spin, and it's still not taking over, it's still not spending a ton, then the other thing you can do is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, let me be fully transparent here. Yes, I used to do an ABO testing campaign. Yes, I've taken ad sets out of CBOs and tried to prove my Facebook wrong in separate campaigns and throw a bunch of budget at it already. And third thing, I have zero incentive of you using a CBO. I personally use CBO because it's what works for me. And this whole YouTube channel is just simply sharing with you guys what works for me. My unique mechanism of how I make money is by people watching these videos and either working with me for my agency offer or for my inner circle offer, where I simply hop on one-on-one calls with you and give you strategic advice of what I would do in your situation. So I just want to make sure I'm very clear on that I'm not giving y'all biased advices of using a particular method completely just to sell my info products. Because at the end of the day, CBO for me, I really don't give a fuck about, because that's not my main mechanism right there. It's just part of what we do that makes our clients a lot of money and my students a lot of money, and I just simply share that with y'all. Will it be the thing we run until the end of time? Who knows? I'm always looking at what's the best thing that's working for us and what's working for my students and clients, and I simply make videos around it. That's it. Now that that's being said, let's dive further into CBO of not getting any spin. So very clear here, the CBO itself has a daily budget. It's just these new ad sets that are not getting spin or not getting a ton of spin in there. Now, out of the thousands of creative tests I've done over the last couple of years and the hundreds of new winning ads we found for accounts, I always noticed one thing. If a CBO ad set is not getting a ton of spin, it's always going to start off with the hook. Because I've had some really good hooks quickly take over the account right there, and then, be terrible at everything else and have a horrible cost per purchase. And I usually find with that hook and that particular creative itself, it's really engaging. I've seen almost every ad we find that's a new winner be really engaging. And an engagement is just simply a like, a comment, a share, them watching the video all the way, them watching the video longer than the typical average view duration, people that click to watch that image or look at that image longer than other people that screenshot. Yeah, Facebook can actually detect if you're screenshotting creatives. So if you're screenshotting it or anything like that, those are all considered engagements in Facebook's eyes. So anytime we have a creative that's engaging and a lot of people are stopping and scroll and doing all of those actions right there, it typically pushes it up higher in that particular campaign right there. Now, what I'll also notice here is that the creatives that resonate with the largest pool of people are always going to get the highest amount of spin as well. So if a creative is calling out left-handed brain surgeons in, the Arizona desert, it's going to be such a small group of people that Facebook will barely spend on it. But if it's just calling out doctors in general across the USA, it has a huge audience. So if you're going too narrow in who you're calling out in the hook, because again, your hook and your creative is what creates the audience of people that you're going to target. Creative does all the targeting for you if you're not aware of that. So what I'll see is that that's going to also dictate how much you're spending. So you got your engagement, and then you also got the size of the audience of people you're targeting. Now, the size of the audience of people you're targeting is also going to depend on where you're meeting them at in the 5 stages of market awareness. If you don't know what that is, watch my advanced Facebook ads guide 2025, and I cover that right there. But market awareness is how far and how close someone is to buying from you. Now, the biggest one is unaware, which is the largest, and then you have aware, which is the smallest. Aware and product aware are going to be your more like retargeting ad sets. And typically at a retargeting ad set, I'm going to see a much higher frequency on those ad sets. And I'm also going to see a much better cost per acquisition on those ad sets than other creatives. Now, I'm not putting a retargeting audience in that ad set because again, the creative creates the audience. I'm just building that creative with only messaging that a retargeting audience would resonate with. So that's also another factor right there that's going to determine how many people we reach based off how we even build the ad right there. But let's just say, for example, we build the ad to hit doctors USA, and it's doctors who want to scale and grow their medical practice. So that's going to be just more of like top of funnel right there, type of messaging at solution aware right there. So in that particular case, then we have ads that are just not spending and we're hitting on that messaging. Again, I'm gonna go look at the hook first. Is the hook clearly articulate of who we want to watch this? Is there a clear benefit to either watch that video or to pay attention to this image right there that's calling out something they want? And then the last thing, does it drive curiosity? Doctors, use X product to grow your business. Or hey doctors, here's a little known thing that you can use to double your medical practice in the next 60 days. Then it's like, ooh, what is that thing? Does it drive some curiosity in there? Curiosity can also be created by calling out something they've never heard of. So doctors, double your medical practice in the next 60 days using the ABC method. If they've never heard of the ABC method before, it's going to drive curiosity right there. So that's also another key thing to also pay attention to. So the hook needs to call our ideal audience, imply a benefit, and have some curiosity that makes them want to read the rest of that creative if it's an image, or watch the rest of that video if it's a video ad right there. Now, next thing we need to look at is the visual side of what's being done on that particular creative right there. If we're showing things that people just have literally zero interest in, then people are going to scroll past it and it's not going to engage and it's going to be pushed way back down. So for example, for me, I'm on money Twitter or marketing Twitter, either one, technically I'm both on both of them right now. I know that if I take a screenshot of a triple well, if I screenshot a Shopify dashboard or screenshot a bunch of orders on my phone screen and I make a tweet with that, it's almost guaranteed to give me likes and comments and reposts because it visually shows what people want. So same thing with that hook. We need to visually show what people want. And this is where your research comes further into play right here to understand what people want. So that way you're not only just calling it out, but you're also showing it on the screen as well. And that way you're putting both together, it's going to make you a really powerful ad that you can scale up. Now, next thing, if you're doing all of that correctly, then I would just be going back to your research right there and making sure it's a large enough problem or a large enough want across the marketplace. If you're basically doing a bunch of research and you just see one thing and it's a comment on a TikTok video and there's no likes and no comments on that comment, and it's just something saying some random benefit that people got using a product, and no one's upvoting or anything like that. Reality is, it's probably just a 1-in-1 case scenario right there. Whereas if we're like doing our research and we're finding things that hundreds of people are liking and hundreds of people are viewing and thousands of people are watching this video around this particular desire right here, then likely there's a big enough market for it and people actually want that thing right there. So if you're doing all of that correctly, what's next? Next thing I'll notice is that the ad creatives you're making, it's going to be more in the lines of probably the video side. This won't really apply to the photo side, but yeah, it technically could apply for our photo as well. But the ads are too educational. So the hook is stopping them, but they're immediately jumping off. There's something on YouTube called average view duration. And I look at this on Facebook as well. But it's the average amount of time someone watches one of these YouTube videos. And the longer that duration is, anytime I upload one of these videos of the average view duration, it pushes it higher in the algorithm, because that's showing to YouTube that people are clicking on this video and they're retaining their attention and they're actually staying on that video. And same thing kind of with Instagram and like Facebook and stuff with Facebook ads, where it's like if we upload a video and it's a 6-minute long video, it's like a VSL, and people are like watching a little bit then hopping it off, and that view duration is really low, then likelihood is also going to keep that ad spend really low on it, because it's showing to Facebook that people don't want this video. So for me, I'm also looking at it from a perspective right there of, hey, let's do less education on Facebook ads and only show maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds of what people want, and then send people to like an advertorial or listicle where that has more knowledge around the things that they need to now think differently, so that way they actually go ahead and buy this product itself. And those actually have been working really well for us lately, where we'll just highlight what people want, we'll call out a new mechanism they never heard of to create that that sense of new hope and that dopamine firing, and then we'll push people to an advertorial that goes deeper into that new mechanism, then send people over to a product page. And I have videos on my channel. I highly recommend watching the Advanced Facebook Ads Guide 2025. And I would also recommend I have videos on how to create an advertorial, how to create a listicle, how to create VSLs, all of those things on the channel as well. That can help you guys out with that right there. Now, last thing I'd be looking at here, if all of that's not like being done correctly, or like if all that's being done correctly and we're still just not really getting any spin, it's just simply positioning. And again, positioning, I cover this in Advanced Facebook Ads Guide 2025 Part 1. It's simply just a collection of sophistication, awareness, and desire. And basically, when we're approaching these particular topics right here, we just want to always make sure that we're one step ahead of the market itself. And we want to kind of create blue markets every time we create our creatives right there. So a blue market is people that are just like no one's been advertised to in that market right there in a specific way that we've advertised to them. And everyone else in red markets is just overcrowded, oversaturated. Everyone's saying the same thing. And the novelty of new is what fires dopamine in our brain when we see something. So like, for example, we have, I was in Scottsdale about a couple months ago when hanging out with this girl I met at a coffee shop and stuff. And like, she was comparing like her social media to her brother's social media, and like her social media itself, like still did good. Like she had like probably a couple 50, 100K subscribers and stuff like that. But then like her brother's social media itself blew up to a couple 100,000 social followers, like almost immediately after he created his social media and everything like that. And why? What was the difference? And, like nothing bad about her. Like she was on phenomenal all of her content, but she was just simply like creating the same content a lot of other people are creating. And again, like she still had her own unique personality she was bringing to the table, but like at the end of the day, with the niche she was competing in, it's like people have already seen it so many times. Whereas this particular dude, her brother, like literally was doing like Instagram reels of like POV doing like crab fishing in Alaska, and like no one had any competition with them, and like no one else was doing videos like that, and allowed him to quickly blow up and getting hundreds of thousands of views every reel he would do. And that's also another thing when I'm creating Facebook ads right there. It's like, if I'm creating the same creative as everyone else, guess what's going to happen? Like no one's going to like get new dopamine fire in their brain. And when new dopamine fires in your brain, it also creates new neural pathways and stuff like that. And it gets you hooked, gets you addicted. And with like her followers, it was like, yeah, like people were still subscribing to her and following her and stuff like that, but it wasn't to the same rate of which he was blowing up because no one else was doing the same type of content. So it's like, I want to be able to engineer that with every creative we test. That's where research comes in play. And then having a marketing operating system in your brain of how you look at the market and stuff. And again, I touched on an advanced Facebook ads guide, part 1, where I go over desire, market awareness, market sophistication to understand how we position that. And oftentimes when I look at campaigns and we're testing new creatives and just nothing's getting spin, it's not even like, hey, the creative is wrong or the hook is wrong or like the CBO is wrong. It's just a simple way of what we're trying to call out and what we're trying to position. It's just terrible. It's more terrible marketing logic of how we want to position this in the marketplace versus like we're doing something incorrect. Like, so that's where it goes back to the research. Let's do that research and try to uncover that thing that not necessarily is beyond what people are thinking and saying, but what are the things that people are saying and thinking at research and actually saying it in like the comments and stuff that no one else is speaking to. And then can we take that and go create creatives around that? And that's what crushes. So I'll give y'all another example. On Twitter, I've been noticing more and more people are like hating on like just having to test so many creatives and like pissed at people that are like, hey, performance is down, you know, just test more creatives. And I completely understand. It's a very valid point right there because creative testing in general can be fucked up if you're doing it incorrectly. It can be a huge waste of time, energy, and money. So for me, as soon as I started seeing a collective group of people complaining about it on Twitter, what did I do? I went ahead and made a tweet, quotation marks, just test more creatives. And I put a little clown face and like a little like funny face. And guess what happened? I went into that and was just literally like, hey, if another guru says this, I'm going to jump off a building. And it was because that's what people were feeling. So I first called out the thing. I, basically like kind of shared a mutual hate for it as well. And then I went in, hey, like, look, completely understand, but like, let's think about this differently. Why are we testing creatives? We're testing creatives to beat our current winner. And then like going in and how to like systematically do it better. And that's where a lot of people get that wrong at. They just testing hundreds of creatives a week where it's like the same visual with just 500 new hooks on it. And they're testing 50 or 500 new creatives that week. And it's like, well, yeah, no shit. It's doing terrible for you. You want to be strategic with every single creative test you do and actually engineer all of those things I talk about from a positioning perspective, which again, you can take a look in Advanced Facebook Ads Guide Part 1 or jump in my inner circle and actually doing this on a one-on-one call with you. We actually go through your market together. So these are the main things I see when just ads aren't getting any spin in a CBO and kind of the things that I'll jump to like try to like correct that performance right there. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button for new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you're doing at least $100,000 a month in revenue and you want me to actually jump in your account and run all of your ads and stuff, then click the link below to have Nick Theriot run your ads. And if you're doing less than 100K a month in revenue and you still want my help, then click the link below to have Nick Theriot mentor you, where I'll jump in on one-on-one calls with you, review your creatives, your ad account, and give you strategic advice that you can go deploy and help scale you further. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have a good rest of y'all day. Peace out.